So we have quite a few questions from you, so we'll try to go through it, and Rick will try to answer them as best as he can. So I'll be reading the questions, and if there's anything afterwards, or if we are missing, you can still put it on the paper and I'll collect it later.
Just before we do that, I'm just going to tell you about this publication. It's put out by the American Phytopathological Society. It is called The Compendium of Onion and Garlic Diseases and Pests. It's the second edition. It is a beautiful publication for anybody that wants to learn about the pests and the diseases of garlic. It's put out by APS Press. All you have to do is Google APS Press, and it will take you to that publisher. And it has great, in fact, most of the slides you saw today are out of this publication. Beautiful illustrations, illustrations of the fungi, good commentary, good management tips. It's good for a grower, it's good for a plant pathologist. It's a great publication. The second one, if you're interested in diseases, is called Vegetable Disease, A Color Handbook. It's put out by Academic Press. Another well done publication with great pictures. So this one's quite. Did I mention the price? This one's around $60 or $70 US. This one, do you remember how much? This is about $200. Okay.
And we have them both at AgriPoint, and if anybody wants to come and look at them, I'll be more than happy to help you out in that way. Okay, so we'll go to the questions. The first question is, can the white rot be spread through seed or only by sets or stalk? And I think who wrote this question by seed meant the bulbils, right? So,
yeah, I would say not. It's basically on sets and cloves.
The next question, does it help to peel cloves to limit the amount of disease in the next year crop?
Yeah, we're just talking to Anna about that. Quite often, when you're breaking the bulbs apart, the cloves still have the skin on them, and you may not see the disease unless you tear off the skin. And you'll see that in some of the when we get to looking at individual diseases, that you can't tell that there's a disease there until you take the skin off the clove.
Okay, the next question. Can you test for white rot in transplants? We generally don't grow garlic from transplants, so this is probably meant from a small plant in the spring when they emerge.
Yeah.
That's what.
Well, if the plant is infected with white rot at the transplant stage, then yes, you can make an identification of it. If you don't, in other words, I probably, if something, a plant was brought to me and there was evidence of white rot, I could either incubate it or plate it out on an artificial media to determine whether it was white rot or not. So yes, you can do it, but it would be difficult unless you had an actual plant showing the symptoms.
And for us, logistically, it would be almost impossible because anybody could be pulling the plants and want them, analyze them. So I think if and when you see the symptoms of the disease in your field and want to analyze it, then you'll contact us and then we'll work with you. But sort of in the spring, when you have a lot of fields, to test each of the field or sample from each of the field would be very difficult.
It'd be impossible.
It's impossible for us. So when you have the disease or the symptoms and you want to get the confirmation that it is a white rot, then you will contact AgriPoint and then we'll work with you. So the next question, what is the distinction between white rot and white mold?
Okay, white rot, white mold. White rot is the common name for the disease caused by Sclerotium cepivorum. That's the correct terminology. White rot is not the correct terminology. The white rot's common name basically describes what you see on an infected bulb, the white mycelium, the white fungus on the bulb. Does that answer that?
The prevention of spread through compost.
You certainly can spread many of these diseases in your compost if you don't get high enough temperatures when you compost. If you don't get the temperatures evenly distributed throughout the compost, then yes, you can introduce, for example, white rot in compost. But high temperatures throughout the compost will destroy the sclerotia.
So the next question, how is plant infected late in the season? Where would it come from?
If you're talking about white rot, late season infection could be because weather conditions weren't conducive for white rot development. For example, high temperatures could delay the onset. The other thing would be the distribution of the sclerotia in the soil. For example, if you had a low level of sclerotia in the soil and they were deep, it'll take most of the season to get the onion or garlic root down close enough to the sclerotium to allow it to germinate and infect. So that's how you could get late season infection.
So the next question, how do you tell if stalk or seed stalk is infected?
Basically, you tear the bulb apart and take off the skin of the clothes, as I mentioned, and be on the lookout for these tiny black sclerotia, and we'll see those in the disease identification session after this. So that's how you do it.
Why can't you say where the infection was found?
That's not fair to the grower that has the disease. So that's the reason.
No, it's not.
So,
well,
I don't think that's fair to the...
you have to. You basically, when you're buying your seed stock, you have to ask the questions, don't you? You have to ask.
So the next question is if stock or seed stock looks healthy, is it healthy? Could be.
Could be, could not be. So difficult to say.
Scientific name for pink rot?
It's Phoma terrestris. It's a fungus.
Is it safe to assume that the bacterial compost tea would be a good prevention, or would be preventative?
Where's
There are some articles in the literature saying that if you give it, I believe, an hour soak in the good compost tea, that it may eliminate, but it only says it may eliminate the white rot. There's also some evidence that the hot water treatment could eliminate the white rot, but you have to be extremely careful because it's only about 2 degrees difference between the temperature you kill the germ versus killing the disease.
Yeah, so, it really reduces the viability of the cloves too.
So there are some anecdotal articles out there, but nothing really has been scientifically confirmed.
I don't believe it, but... how do aphids carry the viruses? They carry it in their saliva, and when they feed on the foliage of the garlic, they introduce it that way.
And who is the provider of the product which can eliminate the sclerotia in the soil?
Yeah, it's called DADS, D-A-D-S, and it's produced by United Agri Products Canada. And as I mentioned, I think it's around $380 an acre. And it has to be injected with a fumigator type machine that many of our strawberry growers use.
So is that price the price of the product or the price of the application?
Product price.
And this product, to my knowledge, does not provide you a 100% control either. It's only suppression.
It reduces the population of sclerotia in the field. That's what it does.
What's the same if, say, the manure tea you were talking about? What would be the percentage of manure?
I don't think manure tea will work at all because you'd have to have a systemic tea to do it. I don't know that these are systemic. Sclerotia is inside the bulb and the cloves, right? You can eliminate from the surface of the clove, but you can't eliminate it from inside the clove with compost tea.
Okay.
Rick, the equivalent would be what some people do with taking a garlic juice.
Yes.
So, I mean, not equivalent to that, but they would make a garlic juice, spray it on, allow the sclerotia to grow, and then, and of course, it would die out.
Absolutely, yeah, that would work great.
Or garlic powder, which seems more cost prohibitive, but garlic juice.
Another thing growers can do would be put a short season crop, like a bunching onion, in the field and grow it. It would cause the sclerotia to develop and germinate. And they, as I say, they only germinate once. In that short season crop, it's not in the land long enough to produce more sclerotia. So in that way, you can reduce sclerotia populations as well.
Or if you have the garlic crop, which you suspect is infected, you can sell it if there's a market as a green garlic. You would eliminate some of the challenges as well.
Mm-hmm.
So the last question here is, does peeling the garlic lower the amount of disease in the garlic? And I assume that peeling means to peel few of the layers on the clove, on the bulb, not on the individual clove.
On the clove.
Just to peel completely the clove?
Yes.
Well, if there are sclerotia there, the act of peeling will lose some of those sclerotia, right? But still, the clove is infected with the white mold. So when you plant it, you're introducing it. However, you're not introducing more sclerotia.
What about for the rest of the diseases?
Rest of the diseases? The same. You can eliminate some of these diseases by peeling and throwing out bad-looking cloves, right? That's good sanitary practices. So that's what you should be doing.
But if you completely peel the clove, then you are introducing potential for some other diseases which are in the soil, and they can rot. So that's another thing.
But quite often, these, as you're going to see, the infected cloves, especially coming out of storage with white rot and with botrytis, this time of year, they're just, the fungus has taken over and they're spongy. There's hardly any garlic tissue left. It's all, the fungus has taken over the whole bulb.
Well, if you don't have any more questions, okay, well, maybe I'll have you to speak to the microphone.
I was just wondering your recommendation for destroying infected plants, bulbs that you find, and you just kind of mentioned maybe selling if we notice something as a green garlic, but shouldn't we not be distributing anything that could possibly be contaminated?
A green garlic, nobody would be planting it, right? And it's not toxic, and the disease hasn't
from
developed.
that, like you said, if it's in a compost or, you know, anything, like, is there any way that's...
Yeah, as I say, if you compost properly, you can destroy the fungus. However, if it's not well done, then you certainly could introduce the disease to fields with the compost. So either burning or burying the infected tissue would be what I would do, to bury it.
But if you sell it as a green garlic, the sclerotia has not developed at that point. So you're really not spreading anything around.
And you have germinated a lot of the sclerotia that's in your field, right?
Okay.
Anybody else? If not, well, thank you for all your questions.
Okay.